Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and the Black Again is back. Another theory. After a nice long hot bath, you know, fresh, clear perspective. This one is my time travel theory. June 2004, I believe June 18th at the time. I was 22 years old when I wrote this. Like to hear it? Here we go. Time travel, a possibility. Question mark. Now here we go into every man's fantasy. What if you can go back in time and stop yourself from making the wrong decision? What if you could go back and stop someone from being murdered? What if you can prevent events from ever happening that were catastrophically disastrous? Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but for anyone, I'm afraid that's not a possibility. There are entirely too many factors to calculate, making it incredibly difficult to change anything. You see, what most scientists need to understand that time is a double-edged sword, because as far as anyone knows, time itself does not exist. The events that are taking place are in a forward motion to us, but that's only because we are seeing it in first person one dimensional form. This is really hard to explain, but I will do my absolute best to break it down for everyone to understand. 22. Moving forward or backward in time has been backward in time has one of the greatest consequences you don't want to experience. Now, what's going on at this very moment? Actually, over a zillion things are happening, not only here, but throughout the universe. If you or anyone reading this are dead serious about trying to go back in time to change an event, the first thing you must figure out is when. If you wish to if you wish to go back 10 years from now, then you have to calculate the exact speed of the wormhole that you will travel through to reach that point in existence. You will then have to calculate the planet's exact location 10 years ago. Then you will have to decide whether to believe my theory of the solar system making circles around something else or not. The entire solar system is moving, so you have to calculate where the solar system was 10 years ago. If you don't, you can end up on another planet or the sun or just float in space with the entire solar system nowhere to be found. So, does time traveling seem like a good idea so far, huh? So far? I thought not. There are more things to take into consideration before packing that bag. Once you leave this plane of reality, you will never come back. I repeat, you will never come back to this exact same plane of reality ever again. Why do I say this? The answer is complex, but the reason is simple. Every second that we exist on this reality plane, there are zillions of other reality planes just like ours. You see, for every second that goes by, something different is happening in another reality plane just like this one. Right now, you are reading this report, but parallel to this reality, you are doing something totally different. Maybe you are reading this paper and then taking a break. You see, the parallel to this reality are dozens of different realities that are all occurring at once. If you were to successfully time travel 10 years ago or 5 years ago, surpassing all other factors of timing and speed of the position of the vortex wormhole to get you there, you would be in another reality, not your own. You see, you would have crossed over zillions of lines of parallel existence to arrive at a totally different reality. In this reality that you've traveled back to, events will never happen like they were supposed to, even though this is now a different reality and it had its own timeline. Since you're in the timeline, you are now disrupting the timing balance. You are now in intervariable. Anything, I think I defined that. Intervariable. Anything that doesn't belong in a balanced timeline. Witnessing events that will soon happen but will no longer happen on the dot. These events might happen around the same time frame, even quite possibly within the same minute, but never the same second or microsecond because of your presence there. This in turn will shift the whole reality plane. Every sequence of events that would have supposed to happen on time will now happen earlier or later than the designated time that history has given it. But remember, you are there to stop something from happening. So let's say you want to do some good on this reality plane. Let's start by looking at the significant event you want to stop. Okay, let's use the example of the shooting of someone you knew. First of all, you need to know who shot your friend, where, when, how, and most importantly, why. So, in order to stop this one tragic event from happening, you need to eliminate all factors that will lead up to this very moment. Let's skip into the time of the event. And you were successful in finding out all you needed to know. You know how, where, and when the event is supposed to happen. So naturally, you are there to stop it somehow. But your being there now changed the whole event entirely. This event can now take place at any given time. The timeline of this reality plane is now up in the air and anybody's game since you're there. This event has no timeline. So let's say you stopped the event from ever happening. Your friend went home. He never went to the place of where the event was supposed to happen. He is now on the alert and careful as ever. The police has picked up the guy about to shoot your friend, and everyone lives happily ever after, right? So now it's time to go back to the future where you and your friend should meet up and live happily ever after, right? Wrong. See, the chances of you first getting back onto the planet into the future is very slim, but let's say your lucky streak is in effect and you're on a Vegas roll. You land back in the future 10 years after the event took place. First thing is first. You must realize that when you left, you once again crossed zillions of reality planes and landed on one that is once again not your own. Chances are a number of things can happen. You can run into your present self in the present. Your present self in another reality plane never did travel back in time. So meaning you are stuck there with two of you existing and you've just disrupted another timeline. Chances also are that your friend is still dead in this reality plane because your other present self bo- never bothered to go back. So all that trouble was for nothing with an exclamation mark. You can't get back to your original reality plane ever again because there are too many planes that exist at the same time. This is exactly why you shouldn't mess with time travel. It might be possible using a theory of mine, but I'd rather not mess with it, or else I might inadvertently cause someone to arrive in my timeline and screw something up that was supposed to happen. Throughout history, there has been no doubt that there have been tragic events that have played out throughout our lives, but we are who we are now because of those events. I'm going against my common sense and better judgment, but I only hope and pray that this doesn't get started into research. Heed my warnings and do not attempt to run this experiment. We have no right in tampering with natural events that are supposed to happen. Now, I'm going to tell you only what I think you you can need to know in order to successfully travel to a point in time, space, and reality plane. One, first thing you need to calculate is where and exactly when you want to travel to. Two, you need to map out the solar system and calculate exactly where where planet Earth was located and the exact time and destination you will need to arrive. Three, double check the calculations to your millionth decimal place and make sure no mistakes are made and the numbers equal out every time you do the calculations. Four, calculate the size, shape, power, and frequency of the wormhole you will be using to travel. I highly suggest using a vortex wormhole that has better accuracy and acceleration rate. Five, make sure you can reduce your atoms to a recognizable size so you might be able to reconstruct your atoms automatically upon arrival. The vortex that places you in the time should expand your mass back to its original form. Six, make sure the speed of the vortex is correct. This should determine the where and the when of time travel. Seven, make sure you have a way back to one of your original to w- make sure you have a way back to one of your original reality planes and travel no further into the future or the past. 8. You do not want to travel to the future. The future has more variables than the present. You might definitely end up in a reality plane future you don't like. There won't be a way out of there because when you jump back, you will still be in the field of that timeline. 9. Kiss everything you thought you ever knew goodbye. Chances are you won't ever see anything the same ever again. The factors and variables are too high for a man or machine to calculate. 10. Do not surrender your time traveling technology to anyone else. They will use it only for personal gain, and in doing so will disrupt countless variables of reality planes. The consequences are too great for this to happen, which is a bad idea to even comprehend attempting this trick. 11. The best way to explain this time travel term is E equals MC squared, meaning in order to obtain enough energy to travel, my recommendations would be to reduce the mass to as small as possible. This will increase the speed of the mass to its highest potential. Now comes the acceleration. All you need to do, all you need to I- all you need to is create enough magnetic power within the vortex to give it the right spin speed. The vortex, in my opinion, has one of the highest frequency spin rate and has a focus point that is most accurate. And that is time travel when I was 22 years old. Um, mm. It's an interesting, like you find a file, you open it, you read it, and the stuff you put in, wow. Oh, that's time travel. What is next? What is next? Ah, the I see. The applications of magnetism is next. Ah,